Hello friends, today we are going to discuss something about this farming situation based extension. So at the outset I would like to tell what is the need for the concept of FSBE, that is farming system based extension. So under the National Agricultural Research Project, India was divided into 126 agroclimatic zones, and each agroclimatic zone was upgraded with a zonal research station for conducting research and generating technologies for that particular zone. And you know, in India, each commodity is grown under a number of situations. The production problem related to a particular commodity varies from one situation to another situation. The common package evolved at the zonal level is not ideally suited for different situations of the concerned commodity. Likewise, extension needs for improving the productivity of a commodity also varies considerably from one situation to another situation within one given NARP zone. Hence, there is a need to carry out situation-oriented research and extension programs. The first step in this direction is to identify the farming situations under which each commodity is grown or managed in that particular zone. So there are two possible options to do this job. First option is farming system based research and extension. So here what we do, the entire area of the NARP zone is divided into number of situations based upon variation in three important factors, namely rainfall, soil type and source of irrigation. So based on these three factors, different farming situations are mapped in each NARP zone. Say for example, in southern Telangana zone, a total of 18 farming situations have been identified, keeping in view the variability in these factors. And second option could be the crop or commodity based research and extension. You know very well that each commodity is grown under a number of farming situations in a particular zone. So agronomic factors such as the time of sowing, the previous crop grown, the source of irrigation, soil borne problems also determine the farming situation of a commodity. Accordingly, even a single village or a single farmer may have more than one situation for a given commodity. Now let us deal with the concept of farming situation based extension. Say Manage Hyderabad has initiated a specific method called farming situation based extension for participatory planning of extension activities. So here the crop or commodity situation in which it is grown is taken as the basis for resynthesizing the blanket technological recommendations. So if you consider this farming system based extension approach, there are three main features. First one is the analysis of major situations of a crop grown within a given agroclimatic zone. And the second feature is resynthesis of the technological package of the crop which is grown under each crop situation through a joint effort of researchers, extensionists and farmers. And the third feature is the assessment of gap in the adoption of technology and using it as a basis for working out the required extension strategy. Now let us see these three steps in detail, that is the steps to analyze the farming system based extension in detail. The first step could be the analysis of crop or commodity situations. Friends, you all know that the difference in the crop situations is not due to the level variability in rainfall, temperature and soil type, but it is mainly due to agronomic factors also. What could be the agronomic factors? Just now I told you that it could be time of sowing or the variety of crop what we are choosing. Say for example, in southern Telangana zone of Andhra Pradesh, Rabi groundnut is grown under 6 different situations considering the farming situation or source of irrigation as well as the previous crop. For example, here you are seeing the table, what we are seeing at my back. You can analyze what I said. The details of the case, what I told about the southern Telangana zone of Andhra Pradesh Rabi groundnut is presented in this table. See, if production problems and time of sowing are considered, we get many different farming situations. However, presently there is only one generalized technology for the crops. So, this is a pity situation. Single package cannot be relevant for all the farming situations of a particular crop. So, this had led to the evolution of farmer participatory research methods. The second step in farming system based extension approach is resynthesis of technological package. So, this is done through participatory process by involving three persons. First one is concerned scientist, secondly the experienced extensionist, and third is the innovative farmers. So, through these three persons, whatever the package of technology available could be resynthesized to meet the situation specific requirements. So, resynthesis is attempted based on the information about three things, namely the suitability of each component in the generalized package of the crop situation. Second one, the ITK, that is the indigenous technical knowledge of the farmers and specific production problems for the concerned crop situation. And third, the specific production problems for the concerned crop situation. The original package of practices is resynthesized through elimination or addition of certain components. The resynthesized package will be tested in farmers' fields under specific situations for validation. So, this participatory process of resynthesizing the technologies not only make use of original findings emerging from on-station research at NARP zone, but also it makes use of the indigenous innovations of farmers and the field experiences of extensionists. And the third step in this farming system based extension is the gap analysis for planning of extension strategy. So, this is very important step, and you know very well that in the training programs there is a tendency on the part of the trainers to talk more about the full package of technology of a given crop without giving any consideration to the existing level of its adoption by the participating farmers. So, they do not care about the technologies adopted by the farming community, but this is very important, you know. So, this situation creates disinterest among trainees since a part of the technical content is already known by the farmers. So, participatory approach for planning of extension strategy is crucial to overcome these limitations. Now, let me tell you some more about this participatory approach. So, when you want to understand the participatory approach, first we should know what is the gap in adoption, that is adoption gap. So, this refers to the difference between the performance of improved practices and existing practices of the farmers. So, the gap in adoption becomes the ultimate basis for planning the extension strategy. In the participatory approach for planning of extension strategy, the cost required for adoption of different items under improved technology is shared by the farmers and the host institution. So, the farmers will contribute towards full cost of some of the improved inputs, whereas the host institution contributes only for critical inputs which are completely new for the farmers. So, this approach allows the institutional investment only for critical inputs, that is the new inputs. So, hence it is likely to either provide a significant increase in yield as compared to outside plots or provide the required feedback about the technological constraints. Now, we have to understand the reasons for adoption gap. So, the gap could be due to lack of awareness, knowledge or skill. Also, it could be due to the lack of conviction or motivation on the part of the farmers, or else even it could be the fear of loss pursued by the farmers, or even it could be the lack of resources, that is finance or availability of inputs like things. So, how to overcome this gap? So, that is a big question, you know. So, the gap in adoption would be bridged efficiently if appropriate extension strategy is worked out for each component of the gap. So, if you know the reasons for the gap, then it will enable to lead us to choose appropriate strategy. For example, this mass media approach could be needed for cases where lack of awareness is the main reason, or the skill oriented training program may be needed if the gap is due to the lack of a particular skill. Even in other cases, the adaptive trial or the demonstration may be needed depending upon whether the farmer has the lack of conviction or fear of loss. So, in some cases, exposure visits to other farmers' fields where the successful adoption is being done shall be required if motivation is missing among the farming community. Obviously, none of these extension methods shall help if the lack of resource or input is the main reason for the gap. I want to summarize my entire lecture about this farming system based extension. So, first we have seen the concept in detail, the steps and features. Let me summarize, put it in a nutshell. The concept of crop situation based extension has been experimented by Manage since 1992 to 93 in different crops in different agroecological situations in the country. So, this concept can be usefully applied in narrowing down the gap in adoption by resynthesizing the standardized recommendations emanating from the university research by involving the farmers, extensionists and researchers. As such, a crop specific and farmer driven technological recommendation can be developed besides an extension strategy to bridge the knowledge and skill gap. However, I feel that it is still necessary to devise ways by which the focus can be on farming system as a whole rather than a crop in a resynthesizing and formulation of system specific technologies. Thank you.